there's just, between the ethical reasons, the environmental reasons, and the health implications, it was like a not, it made, didn't make sense not to be plant-based. And then I was like, how is nobody like, and then of course, once you make that switch, you're like, how is nobody paying attention to this? Why is not everybody plant-based? Like, it's like so
Right.
simple.
Well, welcome everybody. It is my honor to have Dr. Farach. Is that how you say it? Did I say it right?
Yes, yes,
With
perfect.
us today. She is a trauma surgeon here in Tampa, Florida, and I am honored that we are now friends and on the same path of helping more and more people become plant-based because it is the best way to live for not only us, but for our planet. And uh, Sandra has such an interesting story, especially interesting how we met, but about becoming plant-based in Cuban culture. So why don't you share a little bit about your backstory with us?
Yeah, of course. So, obviously, growing up in a Cuban household, there was constantly, a meat dish. Revolves a lot around certain meat dishes like picadillo and like ropa vieja and things like that. So there's a lot of like that cultural meat heaviness. But even within that, you still have a lot of the plant-based things like rice and beans, so a lot of the plantain. So there's still a lot of staples that are plant-based, which is nice. So I grew up eating all of that. Never really kind of thinking about, you never really have that notion of where your food comes from. It's just part of what, your grandparents and your parents cook. So you kind of partake in that. And it really wasn't until my research years, when I had a little bit more time, that I kind of stumbled upon, I think with the growth of social media, I stumbled upon some videos of factory farmings now that it was more prevalent, and people were kind of getting those videos out there. I saw some, I think it's probably on Facebook, I want to say, because that's what was big back back then. And I could not, and from that day forth, I just could not unsee that. I couldn't disassociate now. I was like, if that's what's happening behind closed doors, I want no part in that, because I'm a very generally like an empathetic person. So it really hit me very hard. And I could know, and basically from that day on, I just went straight plant-based. I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore because I can no longer disassociate what's on the plate to how it got there. So it just didn't feel right, and it didn't feel aligned with kind of what I believed and my feelings. So I just, kind of stopped stopped quit cold turkey. It wasn't one of like I wasn't one of those gradual people. It's kind of like, all right, I'm done. And I just didn't buy anything else, and I just stopped eating it altogether. And that was 12 years ago. So now I've been plant-based for 12 years. So,
Wow,
hmm
that's
so it's been,
impressive.
yeah.
Did your how did your family react to that? Were they shocked? Were they mad?
They weren't mad. Initially, they were just like, I mean, they've always kind of supported me no matter what I did, clearly, with everything that I've done for training. They're just like, all right, whatever, whatever. I guess that's the next step in your journey. So at first there was a lot of like questions and like curiosity and like why are you doing this? But they were never really not supportive of it. They're just like, all right, well, so then every time, we have family dinners or things like that, they're just, they try to do their best to have something for me, or just, at least some base of the meal. And then I usually will kind of like bring in my own protein or kind of do my own little thing. And, if we order like, it's not Cuban, but if we order like pizza out, like I'll order my own little pizza without cheese on it. So now they're kind of used to it. At first, it was kind of, especially back then, that it wasn't as prevalent. So it was a little bit, I think, just kind of shocking for them. But They've never really questioned my decisions in really anything, so they're still they've been supportive of it. And now they just accept it. That's part of who I
And
am.
did you influence them at all? Do they eat better now?
I think my parents, yes. So I think it's a little more difficult for my siblings. I think they kind of just want to, live their life how they want to live it and have their own beliefs and stuff. But my parents have definitely cut down on a lot of the meat that they eat on a daily basis. So not completely, but they definitely, it's no longer, sometimes my dad will just be like, I'm in the mood for a salad. He doesn't want anything else, just a plain, just a plain salad, and that's all he wants to have. So they've definitely cut down a lot, and they've definitely like been more, as I've kind of like showed them the things that, the things that happen in factory farming, so what happens to animals, they're obviously more aware of it. So I think there's at least a little more intentionality in that, in when they choose what to have for meals. So
It's back to what you like originally said. Once you see it, it's so hard to unsee it. And I think that's the thing that we all, as people that are plant-based, it's like so hard to understand how people can just, I mean, there's a person in my neighborhood who has a pet pig and they still eat bacon. And I'm just like, how do you, like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I guess some people have a sort of a switch where they don't they don't associate what really
yeah,
goes on because they're really a lot of people probably haven't even seen the videos that you have, or if they have, they quickly, moved on to something else that was more, lighthearted. Um,
yeah.
in when you became plant-based, where were you in your medical career?
So I had done already my 4 years of medical school. I had started residency, so I had done 3 years of residency, and then in between residency, I did some research year time, and it was during that time. So it was like basically in the middle of my residency is kind of when I made the decision. So I was in St. Pete doing some research time, and it was probably like a few months into that I went plant-based, and then I kind of just continued from there. It was interesting to go back because I did my residency in Rochester, and it was interesting to like go back, and now all my friends and stuff that were in Rochester, I was like, oh yeah, I'm plant-based now. I don't eat meat. I don't eat any meat, and they were just like, what? So it was just like a big like surprise to everybody there. But they kind of just like accepted that that's what I had made the decision to do, and people respected it. I mean, you always get people kind of making the jokes and stuff like that. There's always been the jokes about the like veganism and things like that. And at some point, and like I'm guilty. Like back in the day, you'd see the jokes and you would laugh and stuff like that because you wouldn't. Again, there was like that dissociation of like where your food comes from and what you're eating, and you kind of just learn to brush it off and not pay too much mind to it because in the end it's internal, and it's I'm doing it for me and how it makes me feel, so it doesn't really matter whether other people's thoughts on it are.
So how has it been now that you are really in the hospital setting as a trauma surgeon? How can you tell us like how that relates into like how you maybe talk to your patients or like the other doctors and like how those conversations go now that you know so much and now that you've made that change and have been plant-based for 12 years?
Yeah. I think it's still kind of like as much as it's been around for so long and people have been, and there's more information out there, it still kind of sometimes feels very, like people are still very surprised by it, or just they're like, oh, you're vegan. Like that's such a like off thing. Like why so the black sheep type of thing. Um, but it's funny because I actually my when you become a chief, like before you graduate, you finish your residency, every chief gets to do a chief talk, basically to the entire department of surgery. And I made the decision to make my chief talk on veganism and plant-based, and I kind of, introduced the subject matter, but then I kind of like tried to find a way to incorporate it into how this is important in surgery and our patients and, showing data because that's what physicians and that's what especially surgeons like you got to show them data. So that's kind of the approach that I went about that. So I showed him data from from Dr. Ornish and all of these other physicians that have shown, reversal of cardiometabolic diseases with plant-based diet. And I was like, why should we should be doing this for our patients pre-op? Like why, like this is, we can potentially improve our outcomes by counseling patients and helping them to adopt a more plant-based diet. So that's kind of what the topic of my ground rounds talk was. And I had like hopes of like putting together a study to do all these things, but with between fellowship training and all of that, there's like no time or energy to really do any of these things. So now that I'm more in I'm still at an academic center and more have a little bit more of the resources, that's something that I'm looking into that I'm hoping to do. So I'm hoping to at least try to use plant-based and veganism as a to do a study so that because that's kind of what speaks to physicians and surgeons. It's like showing them the data and being like, here it is. So we should be doing this because look, I just showed you that patients do better. So that's kind of the mentality that I have now. Um, but definitely I'm constantly trying to, you know, um, tell people that, or show people basically by your actions of you can live healthily, you can have, a busy career, and you can still do this while eating plant-based. It's not like you, get weak or anything like that, because I think there's that notion. Um, and I'll try to like, get some plant-based pizzas, and I'll like bring them to work so that people, they can enjoy and they can kind of see, oh, it still tastes good too. So I'm trying to do like my part. There's this, I always have a lot of things that I want to do, but little bits here and there, I kind of try to kind of put in that plug for veganism and plant-based diet. So as best I can.
Yeah. And you're on the wellness committee at the hospital here. And how does that roll for you? Can you is it do you feel like there is an integration with your role in that to maybe get plant-based more in the hospital? I mean, this is where like the front line is. We should be have these options available so when patients are in there that are suffering from heart attacks and heart disease and all these things that we're not giving them bacon.
Yeah. So the committee that I am on focuses more on like medical staff wellness. So I'm trying to kind of put my influence on the fact that we do need more healthy foods for, our physicians lounge, for um more plant-based protein options for those that want to go that route. And since it is more healthy in general. So my hope is that by kind of influencing the wellness and medical staff and that role in that committee, that I would be able to do that also, more hospital wide. Um, in in the cafeteria and options for hospital visitors and for the patients themselves too. So you know, I'm it's a it's you always have these grand hopes and plans and ideas, and then you realize you're just kind of like a small little cog in the wheel. But hopefully I will become a squeaky enough cog that people will start paying attention. And that's kind of my hope and my plan.
Do you feel like you're getting since you're doing that more on the hospital staff side, do you feel like some of these doctors, nurses, are they asking you more questions? Are they more open to it?
They are. I mean, there's there's I don't think you have to necessarily convince physicians that eating more whole food, plant-based food is better for you. Like we know this, it's not so much the knowledge or acceptance that we know it's better. It's just it's not easy for people. And I think it's not people are it's hard to change. Change is difficult, especially change with food habits, and because food is such an integral part of like culture and like how people feel and the taste of things. It's just so there's so many things that are associated with food. So I think it's just, it's one of those things where people really just have to make we know. It's not a matter of like educating or anything like that. It's a mindset, and people just kind of have to that switch has to go off that to make that decision and be like, we should do this because we know it's the right thing. Um, but it's hard. It's hard to do that. It's hard to turn that switch on in people unless they really want to accept it. Um, but they have been more open because I have brought it up. It's we meet once a month, and I didn't get a chance, opportunity to go to the last meeting, but we have one at the end of this month, and I'm hoping to kind of bring it up again, um, to you know discuss kind of some more of those plant-based options for us and for the patients and their families. Um, they're open to it. It's just one of those things where it's not um, still don't have a lot of resources despite kind of putting the committee together. And there's a lot of aspects of wellness. So people, food is one of them, but we're also trying to focus on like, um, mental wellness and physical wellness. So some of the things that we've been focusing on is more of some type of like, being able to have like access to things like ClassPass and things like that. So it involves a lot more things than the nutrition part, but I just, I keep telling them that nutrition part is important too, so that hopefully they kind of like put that bug in their ear and we can kind of move in that direction too.
Yeah. So you said that doctors know this, but when you're in residency and then all the other things that follow, how much actual time, how many classes or how many hours are you actually studying nutrition? Now I know it's changing, but when you were in school, did was even part of your curriculum at all, or very little?
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not so a lot of it is kind of intertwined with some of the other subjects. So that it's not necessarily like one like lecture on nutrition. There may be like one specific lecture on nutrition, but a lot of it is really incorporated into um a lot of the other physiologic, lectures that you have. So when you're learning about like metabolic disease, they'll bring, they'll talk about, well, this is, the standard Western diet is kind of one of the main issues why patients have these diseases and stuff like that. So, we know the etiology of it, and it's but unfortunately it's just there's so much information that you have to learn as a medical student, as a physician, that, it's probably impossible to really learn a lot of like go in depth into nutrition like somebody who's like a registered dietitian or a nutritionist really would. So that nitty-gritty stuff is, difficult to be able to fit into the curriculum just because there's like not enough hours in 4 years to be able to do, or 2 years, because you're in classes for 2 years and then clinicals for 2 years. Um, so so I see that as being a little bit difficult. They are trying to incorporate it more, which I think is very important. Um, but I think there's definitely a path where, and I think they're doing this more now, where physicians that do have more of an interest in that focus can do residencies in that and can specialize in that. So there's obesity medicine, there's lifestyle medicine. So there are avenues for physicians that do want to be more focused in nutrition, more focused in like counseling and things like that, and do have the time and dedication for that. There are avenues for that now, which I think is great. Because as much as I would love to sit there and counsel a lot of my patients about what they should eat, I unfortunately do not have the time or resources really to be able to do that. So there's not so that's why it's hard uh, to kind of like put it all like globally and hope that all physicians are able to do that because there's just not enough again time in the day, in the day um, as much as I would love to be able to do that. So that's why I have all the other things that I do to try to help promote that. So
Do you see do you see more doctors wanting to study that or more doctors actually heading in that direction?
yeah, absolutely. So I there's definitely a lot more physicians going into specialties like obesity medicine or even lifestyle medicine. I know that that's been around for a few years, but there's been more and more like family medicine physicians and internal medicine physicians who want to kind of get that certification so that they can focus more on kind of those aspects of patient care and on the pillars of that rather than just kind of some of the tradition just traditional methods. So you kind of use both, which is
Would
nice.
does it make you want to go back and like take those courses so that you could, or you don't have enough time?
You no, you can there so it's a separate certification that you just kind of take a few courses and do some CME time for and then you sit for a test. So it's an exam that you take to get certified.
Would you consider doing that?
Yeah, yeah. So I've done I did I've done all of the courses and then hopefully in November we'll sit for that certification. So hopefully it'll be another aspect of that I can bring maybe to our practice and even if not to our practice for patients, I'm hoping that I can kind of use it even as as part of the wellness for physicians within our institution potentially. So um, these are kind of like things that I'm very interested in. So it's something that I wanted to learn, and now just kind of trying to figure out how to best incorporate it to my practice because it's a little different than than some of the other
Yeah,
practices.
right.
Um,
As a trauma surgeon, it's probably not conversations you're probably having, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of a different, definitely completely different than what I'm doing. So it's kind of a little bit of a mind shift. So I'm trying to see how I can incorporate it within my practice and in some way.
That's awesome. I didn't even know that you had taken those courses. So the courses, did they talk about plant-based and did they talk about um,
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the pillars is nutrition, and then they're very focused on heavily on promoting pretty much plant-based nutrition for the most part. And I think even in their conference, I haven't had opportunity to go to the conference, but for those that have, they said basically they pretty much have like plant-based spreads there. I don't think they have very much meat at all.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like in the medical world that like 10 years from now, things are going to be so different than they are now that it's like the word veganism or plant-based is not going to be so, have such a negative connotation to it?
I hope so. I mean, that's what I've been hoping for for like 10 years now, but I hope so. I think there's a lot of things at play. Just being in social media and like listening to a lot of like the posts and stuff like that. I think there's definitely a push with this whole like, carnivore diet and things like that and kind of like villainizing things that like I don't know why they're like I'll read there'd be like a video saying that water is bad for you. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, if you drink like 10 gallons, it's probably your sodium's probably going to be not good. But, it's not poison, So it's just I think there's a lot of misinformation in social media. I think there's a lot of like lobbying in social media for certain things and certain products. So I think people have been very influenced by some of that lately. So I think there has been a little bit of a, you know, um, people are looking down on like plant-based foods. Like some of the meats are saying, well, that's processed. I was like, well, those are meat. So, but if you compare your meat that's processed versus the plant-based meat that's processed, there's actually studies that shows the plant-based meat that's processed is healthier than the regular meat that's processed. So there's already studies that show that. Um, so yes, you always want to use more whole food, plant-based foods in general. But if you want a burger and you're in the mood for a burger, the plant-based burgers are going to be healthier than the meat burger because that's what the data has shown. So
And it's higher in protein.
yeah, and it's delicious. It tastes the same. Like it was funny because the last time I went home, they did barbecue, and of course there was like the two plant-based burgers that they make for me. My mom usually will have a plant-based burger too. And then they gave me mine, and the other one was missing. And my sister-in-law ate her burger, and she's like, "Well, I don't know if mine was plant-based, but it was good regardless." She's like, "I can't tell the difference." So it was funny. So you really can't a lot of the times, which is nice. So every now and then you just feel like having a burger, and it's not you want to do it without the cruelty attached to it, which is nice.
Absolutely. Not to mention what it's doing to our climate too.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was for sure, again, when I went plant-based, the initial reason was for ethical reasons. I didn't want to kind of partake in that, but as I did more research on it because when you kind of go down that rabbit hole, then I started reading all the data on like the its effect on climate, on the environment, and even on the everything, the workers, the surrounding areas, and like the health issues that the surrounding communities have because of all of the waste and there's just, between the ethical reasons, the environmental reasons, and the health implications, it was like a not, it made, didn't make sense not to be plant-based. And then I was like, how is nobody like, and then of course, once you make that switch, you're like, how is nobody paying attention to this? Why is not everybody plant-based? Like, it's like so
Right.
simple. So there's that, of course, but
I mean, I agree. Like, I still have like such a hard time when people are like, how do you get your protein? I'm like,
yeah. This,
we're
eat a
still
cat?
asking the, we're still asking this question. Like, really? Like, just this past weekend, somebody asked me, and I was like, we're really still asking this question? I
Yeah.
mean, I've been vegan
Like,
for 20 plus years, so for me,
it's
it's,
amazing.
like, I don't I don't think of it in any other way, but when I'm around so many people that aren't, and then they ask those questions, I'm like, what? Come
Yeah.
on now.
No. Well, I think there's this like misconception that people, for some reason, just think that protein is only in meat, and they don't realize that there's protein in plants as well. They're just not you. They're just it's something that, again, because you're just so ingrained in it from such a young age, that you don't really. That I guess you just don't really you don't put two and two together. But
Yeah,
I'm
and
hoping
where is the animals getting their protein? From the
right.
plants.
Yeah, like literally the elephants and the cows, and they don't eat any meat. They just get their protein from the plants.
Right. So we just take out the middleman. It seems like such an obvious thing to me. Yeah. But
I
again,
agree.
I get it. I mean, this is the societal uh, uh, impact of making that change is really hard because we're just it's so foreign still. I mean, I do think it's getting easier. I mean, you and I have visited so many places, and so many places at least have oat milk when we go get our coffee, and so like you see that it is becoming a lot easier. Um, and I also wonder too, like some of the vegan restaurants that have closed. I'm wondering if maybe it's because now there's so many vegan restaurants. I mean, so many restaurants that are now having vegan options. It makes it, maybe that then the whole family can go and you have the one vegan, just
Yeah.
different things that I've noticed lately. Like a lot of menus are having at least one or two vegan options. I mean, it's easy to look at a menu and sort of create your own vegan thing, but to have one vegan thing on the menu is
Yeah.
obviously at least thoughtful.
Yeah. No, definitely. And even some restaurants, like I had a work dinner at Burns of all places. So I had them like call ahead and I was just like, just make sure that they can accommodate me with something there. And they said they could. I was
Actually,
like, perfect. So they
they
have,
do.
even there,
Burns
so
actually does. Burns does really well. It's like the
yeah,
number. It's such an icon here in Tampa. And for the listeners that are listening, Burns is the largest private wine collection in the world, right? It's this huge steakhouse and it's been around for, I don't know, 60, 70 years or something crazy.
probably.
And they do have a really good plant based um, couple different options. They have a vegetarian menu, but a couple items on that menu can be made vegan. So, and
Yeah.
that's new for them in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, because you always that right, you always want to be able to accommodate, the one vegan that shows up in the table, I guess. So, but I, made sure to call ahead, and so most places will like make some accommodations, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, that may be the reason. That sounds like, very very plausible. Um, Still makes me sad to lose some of these,
I
vegan spots
know.
delicious, but hopefully there's more that kind of, spring up in their place.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, we have so much. I mean, we're pretty lucky here in Tampa to have so many. Like my parents who
Yeah,
live in DC, when they come here, they're like, "You've got more than we do." So I feel like we do
exactly.
have some good options here.
Yeah. Yeah, my
So
family in Miami and certain parts of Miami definitely have a lot more of like the more like where the young and like more the younger kind of crowd is. Those places have a lot more vegan options and to eat and restaurants than some of the more like older kind of established neighborhoods, but you can usually find
yeah,
something.
yeah, we always have the option of a plain baked potato and some steamed broccoli
Yeah,
and a
exactly.
salad, which is so annoying.
Oh my God. I definitely went to like, and this was years ago though. So this like when I first went vegan, I went I like went somewhere and I tried to find something vegan. They're like, oh yeah, we'll bring you something. It was literally like three stalks of like a romaine lettuce and some like tomatoes. And I was like, okay, I might as well I should have just eaten a bar before coming here.
Yeah,
It was the saddest plate I've ever seen. I was like, this is real sad. So, but it's better now. Most places have at least something that's like decently tasting, right? They try to put together.
what? Tell me again. I know that we've talked before about this, but what options are there even in the hospital?
So there are some options. So they have they definitely rotate through some vendors. So sometimes they'll have certain vendors that have options. Like there's an Indian food vendor that has like rice, and then they'll have the like samoas. I can never say samosas, and then some chickpeas. So that's an option. They have the sushi. They usually just have a veggie sushi. There's really no protein in that. I've asked if they will put tofu in it, but they said not enough people order it. So I was like, all right, fine. Um, they have a they have a little pizza station that sometimes what I'll do is that they said, and this is kind of at nighttime, they'll let me go to the salad bar, pick some vegetables, and I bring it over to them, and they'll put some vegetables on the pizza for me and do it without cheese, so that's kind of nice. Again, not very much protein, but you can I used to put some chickpeas in there. Um, they'll rotate through like some vendors like Moe's. They have a planet smoothie, which is nice. That's a nice option to have. So sometimes I'll get um my green smoothie with my plant-based protein, or I'll get like a smoothie bowl with like some peanut butter. What else? They do have a salad bar, and the salad bar during the daytime does have like chickpeas, and then they'll have a tofu option during the daytime, which is nice. We'll just kind of like double up on the tofu. Um, what else? And then they'll usually have one like hot line that depends on the day. They'll have like if it's Tuesdays, they'll do like tacos, and I'll usually just get the veggies and things like that. And they do have the line that has like The burgers, the hot dogs, the like French fry. It's like the fried stuff in the grill.
Right.
So there are choices. So it's not like at least they give you the option. You can be as unhealthy as you want, or you can be as healthy as you want. So at least you have that option, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, what,
hopefully to work on making that better.
yes, I love that. I love that you're like on the front line, right? You are in the hospital, you are
Yeah.
helping to spread the word. And I mean, do you find like when you have these conversations with people in the hospital that they are more inquisitive, or are they just like, oh, I could never do that? Do they want to learn?
Yeah, it seems like they do. Again, it's not, I don't think it's a matter of like not wanting to learn. It's a matter of kind of just people it's difficult. It's hard. Some people just don't have like don't like you were saying, like they'll see the videos and they're like, oh, okay, well, whatever, it is what it is, and just go on to living, eating the meat despite that. So I guess food is one of those things that's very difficult. It's very personal to people. Um, and you just there's certain habits that are just very difficult for people to change, and that's kind of one of them, I feel.
Well, we appreciate you being one of the change makers.
I'm trying my best. Trying my best as much as I can do.
Yeah, but we
Hopefully,
need, I mean, we need more people like you in the hospital, on wellness committees, making those,
yeah.
having those conversations, doing the things that maybe spark some interest and educate some people in a way that coming from a doctor that, not coming from just another person who's plant-based, but coming from somebody that your stature and your education that hopefully will motivate them to or inspire them to at least go, okay, maybe one day a week I won't do meat, or maybe when I go to this restaurant, I'm going to try the vegan option. So I think even those little things, like you were talking before about being the cog in the wheel, right? Like that's, I think, my hope too. So
Yeah.
we need more people like you.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not, I don't want to take, and I don't want to take certain foods away from people. Like, that's not what we want to do. But I think if we give people better options to have the ability to make that choice, then you at least open that up. So, like, one of the things that I was saying is like, why can't we have in like the breakfast line that has like the eggs, the bacon, the hash browns, the tater tots, like why can't you have like the tofu scramble? Like, and maybe people will choose that option instead and see that it's delicious. And um, I don't expect them to eat it every day, but maybe they can swap the egg scramble one day for the tofu scramble one day. So even little changes. So
Because those little changes add up. I mean,
yeah,
that's again better for their bodies, better for their health, better for the planet, better for
yep,
animals, just all around better.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But
Thank
I
you so
think,
much for being here today.
yes, thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
Yes, I
It's always,
love that we had a chance to hear a little bit more about you and just that you're such an inspiration, and I love that you come from
well,
the
so are
medical side of it.
you.
What?
Yeah, so are you with everything that you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
no
Well,
problem.
I will reach out to you to have some coffee time again soon, and thank you for your time today, and
Yeah,
chat soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.